Okay, so I almost said let's start the wrong class. We're doing Vinyasa flow. Come to your mat and let's come to our backs today. So lie down onto your mat, soles of the feet on the mat to start, arms down by the sides. So this is a great way to lie down on your back on a flat surface and keep some space in the lower back. So you can always do shavasana this way. Anytime having the legs out in front of you brings tension to the lower back, you just walk the feet in, keep the knees bent. It's also relaxing if you don't have any issues in your lower back. Close the eyes. Start to take a deep breath in through the nose and back out through the mouth. 2 more cleansing breaths like this, helping you arrive on your mat. Deep breath in. Exhale back out through the mouth, nice and long. You could even sigh if you want to. Deep breath in through the nose, fill all the way up. Back out through the mouth. This time, in through the nose. Right back out through the nose. Keep that breath control. Keep going with this breath, Ujjayi. Reach the arms overhead. Clasp opposite elbows, just a gentle upper body opening. It's also a chest opener, a heart opener, so it brings energy into the body, preparing you for your practice ahead. Switch the clasp of the elbows, other forearm on top. Try not to bring the shoulders to the ears, but away from the ears. Bring the arms down by the sides. If the feet are way out in front of you, walk them in a little bit so the heels are underneath the knees. On an inhale, come up halfway to a bridge, just a little one. And exhale, set the hips back down to the mat. Inhale, lift up, right back to where you were. Keep it low. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift up, maybe a little bit higher. And exhale, release. Add the arms. Inhale, lift the hips, reach the arms up and back, get long. And exhale, arms come down, hips come down. You can take these up a little bit higher. You don't have to go all the way in. Inhale, lift up, arms back. Exhale, release. 2 more like this. Inhale, lift up, arms overhead. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift up, arms overhead. Stay here. Just bring the arms down by the sides, coming into bridge pose. So maybe you get the shoulder blades underneath you. You can grab the outer edges of the mat like you're going to rip the mat apart. It'll help you lift and spread the chest. Maybe not interlacing the fingers just yet. We haven't done much shoulder opening. So this could be a nice introductory bridge for your practice today. Slowly start to release. Hips come back down to the mat. Let's bring the right knee in toward the chest. Switch sides, right foot comes down, left knee comes in. Left foot comes down. Interlace the fingers back behind the head, resting the head in the hands. Let's lift the feet up. So making an L shape with the body, feet over the hips. Take an inhale, look up. Exhale, lift the upper body up and away from the mat. Inhale back. Exhale up. Starting to build some more heat in the core. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhaling up more than forward. Elbows wide. Inhale back. Exhale up. Check the weight of the head. You want it to be heavy in the hands. Inhale back. Exhale up. Two more like this. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Stay up. Hover the feet away from the mat. Keep the chest lifted. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Bring the right knee in. Twist to the right. Back to center. Maybe shoulders hover. Twist to the left. So it's harder with the legs out extended in front of you. Twist to the right. Maybe you keep the knees bent over the hips. That's another option. Twist to the left. Inhale back to center. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale back to center. Twist to the left. Back to center. Twist to the right. Back to center. Twist to the left. One more time each side. Back to center. Twist to the right. Back to center. Twist to the left. Back to center, reach the arms forward, Ardha Navasana. So chest is lifted, you're looking forward at the toes. Hold this for 3, 2, 1. Set it all down. So feet come down, backs of the hands come down, head comes down. Stretch the arms overhead, get long. So you're stretching that core that we just warmed up. Then walk the feet in, roll over to your right side, use the hands to bring yourself up to seated. Once you get to seated, let's bring the soles of the feet together, the knees wide, maybe shifting side to side a few times so you feel even on the sit bones. You can bring the feet in, but it's just not your deepest hip opening. Grab onto the ankles, shins, maybe inner edges of the feet if you can reach them, and then keeping the back long. So think about reaching forward with the heart. Start to lean forward over the legs, opening up the hips. Elbows can come out wide. Once you find a place where you can be, you can start to close the eyes, let the head and the neck release, but heart still reaching forward over those toes. So we keep as much rounding out of the upper back as we can. You want the upper back to be long. Start to come back up to center. Use the hands to bring the knees back together. Come forward to hands and knees. Tabletop. Let's do a few rounds of cat-cow. If you want to get into the wrists, you can turn the hands a different direction so fingertips can go out to the sides, or you can turn the hands all the way around so fingertips point toward the knees. On the inhale, reach the heart forward, lift the tail. On the exhale, round the spine, chin in toward the chest. Keep going. Toes can be tucked or untucked. It's a matter of comfort. So you could rest the top of the foot on the mat or tuck the toes. Do one more cycle, inhale and exhale. Back to center. Turn the hands around if you change the orientation of the hands. The thighs are vertical. We want to keep the hips right over the knees. Bring the forearms down to the mat. And you might feel how the hips want to shift forward. Try not to let them go forward or back. Walk the elbows forward just enough until you start to feel an opening on the upper body. Bring the forehead down to the mat. So coming into puppy dog pose, hug the belly in. You can tell a difference. If you were to bring the belly down toward the mat, there's a big dip that happens in the lower back. If you hug the belly in, you start to get length in the spine. Chest is reaching forward toward the hands as you hug the core in. Thighs are still vertical. If you feel like you're open enough, you could bring the hands together like prayer and back behind the head. If it's too much, just stay where you are. Elbows might be able to crawl forward. Always listening to your body. It's different every day. So make those adjustments. Don't always go into the same thing over and over again without thought. If the hands are back behind the head, bring them back down in front of you. Lift the head up, walk the elbows back in, get them right underneath the shoulders. So everything else is the same. We're just moving the upper body. Chest is reaching forward. You could even look forward toward the top of the mat, press down into the hands and the forearms, step the feet back behind you, coming into a forearm plank. Feet are hip width distance apart. Now make them a little bit wider. So they're just a tiny bit wider than hip width distance. Both heels come over to the left. Keep the edges of the feet down on the mat. Keep reaching the heart forward. Right arm can reach up. So it's a forearm side plank. Legs are long. You're squeezing those inner thighs, trying to lift the hips up. Right forearm comes down to the mat, come back to your forearm plank, straight over to the other side. So heels go over to the right, left arm lifts up toward the sky. Right hand can come in a little bit if your shoulder needs more space. So don't feel like that has to go straight forward. Legs are long. Left forearm back down to the mat, forearm plank again. One hand at a time, plank pose. Bring the knees down to the mat, big toes together, child's pose. Forehead comes down, arms out in front of you. So still an upper body opening, crawl those fingertips forward, pull the hips back as much as the knees will allow. Downward facing dog. Look forward at the hands, shift forward, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. First down dog, you're here for several breaths. Any movement you want. Or maybe finding ways to make the pose more gentle since it is a big pose. You could bend the knees. Just keep the hips moving up and back. Even here, hugging the belly in. Right leg lifts up and back. You're in a three-legged down dog. Look forward, right foot outside of the right hand. Come into lizard. Keep the hands down underneath the shoulders, chest reaching forward, starting to get into that right hip. Back knee could come down, but if you can keep it lifted, that's good too. Step back, downward facing dog. Once you get there, lift the left leg up and back. Look forward, left foot outside of the left hand. Wide lunge, heart reaching forward. Maybe the back knee stays lifted. If you need it to come down, bring it down. No rounding in the upper back. You can always lift the hands up on blocks if you're getting rounding on the upper back. That takes you out of the hip opening, which is why we want to avoid it. Step back, downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, tiptoe the feet to the top of the mat. Start to walk them forward, maybe keeping them straight as long as you can. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Two more like that, Ardha Uttanasana. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Last one, inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. This time, circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands come down to the mat, step back to plank pose, lower all the way down to the mat. So you're lying on your stomach, tops of the feet come down. Let's take the hands off the mat. So you're on the fingertips, elbows in line with the wrists, press into the tops of the feet, lift up for a wide cobra. Exhale, release. One more time like that. Inhale up, wide cobra. Exhale, release. Little different this time. Inhale back up, come to your wide cobra. Dip the left shoulder, look to the right. Back to wide cobra, other side. Dip the right shoulder, look to the left. Back to wide cobra. Exhale, release. Hands down by the side ribs, tuck the toes. You could take hands and knees to downward facing dog or fire it up to plank pose. Hips go up and back. 3 breaths, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat. Step, hop, walk, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Surya A. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, shift forward onto the toes, bend the elbows halfway, chaturanga, cobra or up dog. Down dog. Bend the knees, look to the top, lightly bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Bring the hands together, down in front of the heart. With the breath, inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands come down to the mat, step back to plank pose, shift forward onto the toes, lower down halfway, chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Arms circle all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. One more, Surya A. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands come down to the mat, step back to plank pose, lower down halfway, chaturanga. Inhale up, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Right foot steps up between the hands. Warrior 2. Spin that left heel down flat, windmill the arms up, Virabhadrasana 2. First one, see if you can lift the chest, lower the legs. Keep the chest lifted. Interlace the fingers behind the back. So everything stays the same. You're just interlacing the fingers, open up across the chest, point the knuckles down and back. Straighten the front leg. Turn those right toes in to face the side of the mat. Fold forward over the legs. Fingers are interlaced. You can let the knuckles go back behind the head. Try not to get heavy in the heels. Sometimes we rock back and that brings the hips back. So you lose the opening in the back sides of the legs. You want to be even between the balls of the feet and the heels of the feet. Pull the shoulders away from the ears so the neck has plenty of space. Hands come down in front of you. Lift yourself up halfway, coming up onto the fingertips. Turn the toes to the top of the mat. Find a runner's lunge. Make sure the feet are hip width distance apart. Left hand underneath the left shoulder. Right arm reaches up for a twist. Back knee is lifted, but if you need it to come down, it can come down. Right hand comes down to the mat, step back, plank pose, optional vinyasa on the way back to downward facing dog. Left foot steps up between the hands, spin the right heel down flat, warrior two. Lengthen the left inner thigh forward and that left outer thigh back toward the left hip. And then press down into that right foot, trying to lift the inner arch of that right foot. So you're pressing down into the outer edge of that right foot. It'll keep that back leg strong, straight. So the top of the right thigh is pressing back instead of going forward. Chest stays lifted. Interlace the fingers one finger over. Press the knuckles down and back, shoulders away from the ears. You're still looking forward over that left shoulder. Straighten the front leg. Turn the left toes in to face the side of the mat. Forward fold. Knuckles go up and over the back of the head. Try to shift a little bit more weight forward so you feel like the weight's evenly supported in the feet. Hands come down in front of the shoulders, come up onto the fingertips, lifting yourself up halfway. Turn the toes to the left, walking to the top of the mat. Runner's lunge, feet hip width distance apart. Right hand underneath the right shoulder, left arm reaches up for that twist. Keep driving back through that right leg so that right thigh doesn't droop toward the mat. Left hand comes down to the mat, step back, plank pose. Any way you want back to downward facing dog. These vinyasas are optional. Take them when they're a good idea, and you always skip them when you don't need them. 3 breaths in down dog. Bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, walk step, get the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Let's come into chair pose, Utkatasana. Bend the knees, reach the arms up, chest up. Hips are low. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands come down to the mat, step back to plank pose. Optional vinyasa on the way to down dog. Right foot steps up between the hands. Find warrior one. Hop the back foot in, heel to heel or wider. Reach the arms forward and up. Virabhadrasana 1. Take an inhale, lift the upper body, maybe even the gaze. On the exhale, hands come down to the mat, step back, down dog, vinyasa, you choose. Left foot steps up between the hands. Hop the back foot in, seal the heel down. Warrior 1. Reach the arms forward all the way up. One more inhale, lift the upper body. You can have a back bend here. And exhale, hands come down to the mat. Any way you want, get back to downward facing dog. Take your time, follow your breath. Bend the knees, look to the top of the mat, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose, Utkatasana. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. So we'll flow through some Surya Bs today. You go at your own pace. Don't feel like you have to stay with me. Stay with your breath. On the inhale, sit back, Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, hands to the mat, back to plank pose, down dog or vinyasas. Make sure you skip those if you want to. Exhale, back, down dog. Right away, step the right foot up between the hands, left heel down, warrior one on your inhale. Exhale, hands come down to the mat, back to downward facing dog with or without the vinyasa. Left foot up between the hands, right heel down. Inhale takes you up, warrior one. Exhale, bring the hands back down, step back, down dog. Three breaths in downward facing dog. So that was one round of Surya B. Bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale back to chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. So build some heat. You decide how much you want. Bend the knees, sit back, inhale, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down, back to plank pose. Make your way back, downward facing dog. Right foot steps up between the hands, left heel down flat, Virabhadrasana 1 on your inhale. Exhale, hands come back down to the mat, downward facing dog, maybe a vinyasa. Left foot steps up, right heel down, warrior one. Exhale, hands down to the mat, step back, make your way back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. 3 breaths in dog. Bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. One last cycle. Bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands down, downward facing dog. Right foot steps forward, left heel down, warrior one on your inhale. Exhale, bring the hands back down, make your way back, downward facing dog. You always have 5 breaths to get there. Left foot steps up, right heel down, warrior one on the inhale. Exhale, hands come back down to the mat, make your way back, downward facing dog. 3 breaths, downward facing dog, done with those. Lift the right leg up and back, 3-legged down dog. Look forward, step the right foot outside the right hand. So you're coming back to that lizard lunge. Chest is reaching forward. You could bring the forearms down if you have a block or if it's easy to get them down. Maybe you just stay here. We're not here for that long, but just throwing the option out if you're not feeling anything with the hands underneath the shoulders. Step back, downward facing dog, other side. Left leg reaches up and back, look forward, left foot outside the left hand. Wide lizard lunge. Back to downward facing dog. This time, right foot steps up between the hands, hop the back foot in, come back to warrior one. Reach the arms forward and up. Square the hips, keep a deep lunge in the front knee, back leg is straight. Open it up, warrior two. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Stay in warrior two. You're just changing the arms. Keep that gaze going forward over the right shoulder. See if you can get lower in the legs, lift a little higher in the chest. Straighten the right leg. Turn the right toes to face the side of the mat. Forward fold. Maybe keep the interlacing of the fingers. Fingertips come down in front of the shoulders, lift the chest up halfway, turn to face the top of the mat, runner's lunge, feet hip width distance apart, left hand underneath the left shoulder, right arm reaches up. Left leg is strong. Side plank. Look down at the left hand, roll onto the outer edge of that left foot. Right foot can come back halfway. You can just press into the right foot to lift the hips up or stack the feet. If you're stacking the feet, you could step the right toes back behind you, real light, so just the big toe touches. Lift the hips up with the glutes and reach the right arm up and over. So wild thing. Right arm comes back up to the sky. If you took that, stack the feet, side plank, plank pose, everybody. Downward facing dog. Maybe you take the vinyasa, maybe you skip it. How much do you want to put on the shoulders and the upper body? Taking care of yourself with this practice. Left foot steps up between the hands, hop the back foot in. Virabhadrasana 1, forward facing warrior. Lengthen the sides of the neck. Gaze could go up if you're exploring the back bend. It'll also help you with the rest of this sequence. We started out with back bends. We're playing with that wild thing today. All right, warrior two, gaze forward, open up the arms wide, adjust the feet. So front heel points to the arch of the back foot, or if you want a wider stance, front heel points to the back heel. Does it matter which one feels better in your body? Both are right. Interlace the fingers, one finger over, lengthen the sides of the neck, keep that gaze going forward like warrior two. Body's exactly the same. We're just getting into the shoulders. Straightening the arms. Okay, now straighten the front leg. Turn the left toes in to face the side of the mat. So your toes are pointing straight forward. They could be a little bit in, just make sure they're not out. Fold forward over the legs. Knuckles go back behind the head. Try not to let the shoulders go down toward the earth. Bring the fingertips down underneath the shoulders, lifting the chest up halfway. Turn the toes to the top of the mat, runner's lunge, feet hip width distance apart, right hand underneath the right shoulder, left arm reaches up for that twist. Right leg is strong. Open up, spread the arms out wide. Look down at the right hand, roll into the outer edges of the feet. So turn the toes to the left. Maybe you heel toe this left foot back halfway. It's a great way to set up for side plank if you're taking the full version of Vashisthasana. Or stack the feet, hips lift. Maybe you lift that left foot, step the left big toe back behind you, real light. Use the glutes to lift the hips. Left arm goes up and over. Push the mat away from you. Wild thing. Left arm reaches up to the sky, back to side plank, plank pose, vinyasa, or straight back downward facing dog. Trying to keep the integrity of the poses. So as you start to get a little bit exhausted or feeling fatigued, your form starts to slip. And then it's not worth doing those shapes. So back off the vinyasas or whatever you need to do to keep the body balanced and even. Bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, sit back, chair pose, Utkatasana. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Hands come back down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Down dog, maybe a vinyasa. Check in with how you're feeling. From down dog, step the right foot up between the hands. Find warrior one, hop the back foot in, reach the arms forward and up. Open it up, warrior two. Interlace the fingers behind the back, stay in warrior two. Straighten the front leg, turn those right toes in, fold forward over the legs. Fingertips come down to the mat, lift the chest up halfway. Turn the toes to the top of the mat coming into your runner's lunge. Little different this time. Reach the arms alongside the body. So hover low over the front thigh. Chest is still reaching forward. Squeeze the palms of the hands together. Warrior three. Shift the weight forward to the right foot. Lift that left heel up. Step back to that lunge you were just in. Bend the standing leg, reach back with the ball of the left foot. Left hand comes down underneath the left shoulder. Right arm reaches up. You're in that twist. Toes turn to the right. Vashisthasana, side plank. Either go part of the way or the whole way. Option for wild thing, right big toe lightly back behind you. Lift the hips with the glutes. Reach the right arm up and over the ear. Right arm comes up to the sky. Stack the feet, side plank. Right hand comes down, up to you, downward facing dog. Maybe take the vinyasa. Maybe skip it for now. There's always plenty more. Left foot steps up between the hands. Warrior one. Warrior two. Interlace the fingers, one finger over, stay in warrior two. Maybe this helps you get length in the sides of the torso as you deepen the lunge in the front knee and straighten the back leg. Straighten the front leg, turn the left toes in, fold forward over the legs. Hands come down, fingertips underneath the shoulders, lift the chest up halfway, turn the toes to the top of the mat, feet are hip width distance apart, reach the arms back, hover the chest low, try not to touch the front thigh. Chest is reaching forward, outer hips hug in toward the midline. Warrior three, look where you're going. So you're looking ahead of the left foot, way ahead. Lift that right heel up to hip height. Press that right leg away from you. Core hugs in. With control, bend the standing leg, reach back with the ball of the right foot, light as you can. Land back in that runner's lunge. Right hand underneath the right shoulder, left arm reaches up. Toes go to the left. Some version of Vashisthasana, modify if you want to. You don't have to stack the feet. Maybe you stay here, or maybe left big toe back behind you. Lift the hips, left arm goes up and over. Legs are strong. Left arm to the sky, stack the feet, side plank. Plank pose. Down dog, maybe a vinyasa. Few breaths in downward facing dog. Bend the knees. Look forward to the top of the mat. Bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Come back to chair pose, Utkatasana. Keep your focal point straight in front of you, eye level. Shift the weight over to the right foot. Hug the left knee in toward the chest. Come up to standing. Right hand, right hip. Open the left knee out to the side. Stand tall. So even here, you're lowering the legs and lifting the chest. Tree pose. Grab the left foot, bring it up high to the inner edge or the inner right thigh. It could also go below the knee too. Reach the arms up. Vrikshasana tree pose. Outer right hip hugs in, lower belly lifts, hips point straight forward. Don't let them go to the left. Hands come together, down in front of the heart, left foot next to the right foot, bend the knees, sit back, chair pose, keep that focal point straight forward, shift the weight over to the left foot, hug the right knee into the chest, come up to standing. Outer left hip hugs in, chest is lifted. Left hand, left hip, open the right knee out to the right. Try to keep the sit bones level. Tree pose, grab the foot above or below the knee, you place it. Reach the arms up, grow the tree. So gaze stays forward. If you want more of a challenge, you could look up. But if you look down, that's just going to mess with your balance and make the pose harder than it needs to be. Right foot next to the left foot, bend the knees, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold, straighten the legs. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, hands to the mat any way you want, back to downward facing dog. Right foot steps up between the hands, find warrior one. Open it up, warrior two. Interlace the fingers behind the back, keep the chest lifted. Straighten the front leg, turn those right toes in, fold forward over the legs. Hands come down, fingertips lift the chest up halfway. Turn the toes to the top of the mat, runner's lunge, feet hip width distance apart. Arms reach back behind you, chest hovers low over the front thigh. Shift the weight forward to that right foot, warrior three. Little different this time. Level off the hips. Bring the left hand down underneath the left shoulder. Right arm reaches up. So twisted half moon. Try to keep that left leg lifted. Hug the core in. Open the chest to the side. Right hand comes down to the mat. Standing splits. So you could walk the hands in toward that right foot. Maybe you grab the ankle with one hand or both. Let the head and the neck go. Step the left foot all the way back, runner's lunge. This time, bring the back knee down, half splits. Shift the hips back, lift the right toes up, push that right heel forward, reach the chest over the toes. So we build some heat in the leg and then we stretch it. Come back onto the sole of the right foot, Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, left hand down, right arm up, twisting to the right. Optional side plank. Last wild thing on this side if you want it. Big toe touches down behind you. Lift the hips, lift the chest, right arm up and over. Right arm reaches back up to the side, or sky, side plank, hands down to the mat. Any way you want, back to downward facing dog. Left foot steps up between the hands. Hop the back foot in, warrior one. Open it up, come into warrior two. Interlace the fingers, one finger over, keep the chest lifted, stretch the knuckles down, back behind you. Straighten that front leg, turn the left toes in, fold forward. Hands come down in front of the shoulders. Lift the chest up halfway. Turn the toes to the top of the mat. Feet hip width distance apart. Reach the arms alongside the body. Squeeze the hands together. Look where you're going. Warrior three. Shift the weight forward. Lift that right heel up. You're lifting from the inner right thigh. So the right big toes pointing straight down, not out to the right. Right hand comes down underneath the right shoulder. You could use a block. Left arm reaches up. Keep lifting that right leg, reaching the heart forward. Twisted half moon. And the right hand doesn't have to touch. You can keep it floating away from the earth if that's easier. Left hand comes down, standing splits. Walk the hands in. Maybe you play with your balance by grabbing the ankle with one hand or both. Step back to your lunge, bend that standing or that left knee, set the back knee down, half split. So shift the hips back, lift the left toes, push the heel forward, reach the heart forward. Inhale forward back to your lunge, sole the left foot down to the mat, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, right hand underneath the right shoulder, left arm reaches up. Last little bit, side plank. Come onto the outer edge of the right foot. Figure out where you want that left leg. Start with side plank, some version of it. Then take it to wild thing if you want. Last one, lift the hips up. Left arm up and over the ear. Left arm to the sky. Stack the feet. Vashisthasana. Left hand down. Last vinyasa if you want it. Back to downward facing dog. Once you get to downward facing dog, take a deep breath in through the nose, back out through the mouth. Set the knees down to the mat. Take child's pose. Big toes together, forehead down. Arms can be out in front of you, or they could be back behind you. Shoulders are warm. Might be a nice way to just round the upper back. Bring the hands underneath you. Lift the head and the chest. Let's come to seated on the mat. So scoot the hips forward. Feet come down to the mat. Head comes back down. So you're lying on your back. We'll start with bridge pose today. So walk the feet in. You've already done them to start. Now you're doing them at the end of your practice. So press into the feet, lift the hips up, interlace the fingers underneath you. You're welcome to grab the outer edges of the mat instead. Lift the hips up higher than the belly. Lift and spread the chest. Look up. Slowly release, bring the hips back down to the mat. So we're doing 2 more rounds of back bends. You're welcome to take this up to Dhanurasana wheel. Could be a good day for it. The shoulders are warm and open. We've done some back bending. I'll talk you through it. You're welcome to try it. Otherwise, just stick with bridge pose. That's a great back bend too. Press into the feet, lift the hips up. Bridge pose, you interlace the fingers. If you're playing with Dhanurasana, you bring the hands back by the ears, fingertips point toward the feet. Come up to the top of the head first. Then you get the grip between the hands and the feet, arms and legs at the same time. Lift and spread the chest. You're trying to bring the chest right over the wrists. Knees point straight forward. Chin to chest if you're all the way up. Set the back of the head down, then the hips, and we are all down back to where we started. Feeling the heartbeat a little harder. And then third round. So bridge pose, Dhanurasana all the way up if you want. Up to you. Press into the feet, lift the hips up, bridge pose, or maybe you bring the hands back by the ears, come up to the top of the head, press yourself up. Chin to chest, bring it all the way back down, rest. Done with the back bends and done with bringing energy into the body. So now we'll start to cool it down. So we prep ourselves for Shavasana. Hug the right knee in toward the chest. Extend the left leg out in front of you. Bring this right knee across the body over to the left. Come onto the side of the left hip. Reach the right arm back behind you. So chest goes to the right, right knee goes to the left. Reclined spinal twist. If this bothers your lower back, bring the knees together, bending them both, or putting a block, blanket, whatever you have between the knees. Come back to center. Soles of the feet are on the mat. This time, hug the left knee in toward the chest. We just start here. Keep the right foot on the mat. Readjusting the lower back. Then extend that right leg forward out in front of you. Cross this left knee over the body. You shift onto the side of the right hip. Left arm reaches back behind you. So try to get the head, right hip, right foot all in one line. And then you can look over the left shoulder. Make your way back to center, soles of the feet on the mat. Let's take happy baby. Bring the knees in toward the chest, open them out wide. Grab onto the backs of the calves, ankles, maybe the inner or outer edges of the feet. Keep this a hip opening. So that means keeping the hips going down toward the mat. Sometimes the tail wants to curl up. And then pressing back with the hands so that you're bringing the legs in toward the body as you keep the knees wide. Feet are flexed. Some people like to rock side to side. That's up to you. Bring the knees back in toward the chest. Set the feet down onto the mat. Bring the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. If you want to support the knees with blocks or blankets underneath the knees, you're welcome to do that. Arms come down by the side. Supta Baddha Konasana. So another hip opening. The closer in the feet are, the more intense this is. So move the feet away from you if you went in too deep too soon. Reach the arms overhead, finding a stretch, still keeping the legs in the same shape. Clasp opposite elbows, let the arms just rest overhead. Eyes can be closed if you want. Or softly open, so that means looking down the bridge of the nose. Switch the grip of the forearms, bring the other forearm on top. Then stretch the arms overhead. Get as long as you can from the hips all the way out through the fingertips. Circle the arms down until the hands come to the outer thighs. Help the knees back together. Bring the right knee in toward the chest. Extend the left leg out in front of you. Heel rests down on the mat, but the toes still point up. Extend the right leg. You can grab onto the back of the right thigh, or maybe you start to walk the hands up the leg until you feel where your stretch is. Keep the head down on the mat. Hug the right knee in toward the chest. Set the right foot down onto the mat. Hug the left knee in toward the chest. Extend the right leg out in front of you. Keep that right leg firm. Extend the left leg up. Walk the hands up the leg toward the foot as much as you want. You're feeling your way into this. So as soon as you feel like you have a good stretch in that left leg, stay there. Maybe you didn't even need to walk the hands up. And maybe there's a bend in the knee. That's okay too. You got to play with it a little bit to see where the opening happens for you. Left knee comes in toward the chest. Bring the right knee in too. So both knees in toward the chest. Close the eyes. Head still resting on the mat. Take a deep breath in through the nose. And exhale, Shavasana. Legs extend out in front of you. Arms down by the sides. Let the fingers curl. So palms face up. And toes turn out. So you can widen the feet a little bit. Maybe they go to the outer edges of the mat. Maybe they're off the mat. And you scan the body one last time. See if there's anywhere where you can release some effort. Letting the whole body rest just for a couple of minutes. Unplugging to restart. You'll start to wiggle the fingers and the toes. Reach the arms overhead, finding a stretch, reaching out through the legs. Start to walk the feet in, bending the knees, rolling over to your right side. So you can cradle the head on the arm if you want to. Lying on your side, eyes still closed if you can. Still resting. We're just coming off of our back. Use the left hand, bring yourself up to a comfortable seat. Sitting up tall, chest is lifted. Bring the hands together in front of you. Slight bow of the head, turn inside, stay there. Honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit. Finding that connection within. And then taking that, honoring everyone else around you. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. Hope you had a good practice. That was a sweaty one for me. Hope that you got some good energetic movement and just spent some good time, quality time on your own. See you next time.